What's happening, party people? We're here for Tuesday Tips, and I am the boss lady, and you are the boss lady, unless you're a gentleman, in which case you are the boss man, which I don't have a mug for, but perhaps I should. Perhaps I should. That's what I'm saying. Welcome to Tuesday Tips. We're here, same channel, same time, same Tuesday, and we're talking about this idea of having it all. How do you have more money? How do you have better relationships? How do you have a dreamy lifestyle that you're really geeked about when you wake up in the morning? I remember there were many years in my 20s and early 30s where I woke up and was like, oh God. I just dreaded the day. I dreaded the job I had to go to. I dreaded whatever I had to do that day. I couldn't stand where I lived. Like, I looked around me and I was like, everything is not right. There were some moments where I felt excited. Some moments when I was walking to the theater and I was getting ready to do a show. For many of you who don't know, I was a professional actress for many years. But mostly, I looked around at my finances, I looked at my love life, I looked at my career, I looked at where I lived, and I thought, this is not okay. This is not right. So if you're in that situation, if you're in a place where you're like, I don't feel like this is the right life for me. I know there's a different life for me and a better life for me. That's what we want to talk about. How do you get there? How do you get from where you are to where you want to go? And what does a better than ever life look like for you? So we're going to talk about that today. Hello. If you're here, please type in, say hello. I love seeing your comments, and certainly we'll get to questions today as well. And for those of you who are enjoying, you like Tuesday Tips and it's fun, but you're like, hey, I'd actually like to meet you in person, which you totally can. You can meet me in Miami in a month at HTC I Live. It's a live training event that my co-founder Stacey Morgenstern and I host, and we'll be teaching how to create and fill high-end coaching programs. So even if you're just starting out, that's okay. You can still create packages and programs that are offered for more money than you think is possible right now, and we'll show you how to do that. Plus, the event is an enormous amount of fun. We party like crazy. We have a great time while we're working really hard, and I think you're going to love it. So if you guys are noticing a little freeze or anything like that, I'm noticing a teeny bit. I'm sure it'll stop in a moment. But in the meantime, welcome to all you boss ladies. Welcome to all you boss men. What's happening? So let's talk about some tips. I want to talk about some tips for this thing called having it all, which is an interesting concept because, especially if you're a woman, because there's guys too, but women have to, if you're having a baby, you have to carry it and have it and maybe breastfeed it and care for it. It's just a different sort of experience for women than it is for men. So I wanted to talk about this idea of having it all, what that means for you, and how do you get to it. But first, I think that this video is going to be incredibly important for those of you who maybe not only you look around your life and you say, I don't like how this is right now, but you might actually be in crisis mode. There might be some real shiznit hitting the fan. Maybe you're going through a breakup or a divorce, or maybe you've got a kid with challenges or who's sick, or maybe you have a financial challenge, or maybe you have a challenge with your home. There's maybe some way in which you're feeling like you're in crisis mode, or there are a ton of demands on your time, and how could you possibly wade through all of those demands to get to like the holy grail of what it is that you want to have in your life? So that's what we want to get to, because the truth is you can have it all, just maybe not all at once. So there are ways in which we'll talk about prioritizing what is most important to you in your life, what's most valuable. And let's forget your entire life, because that's like, too far to think ahead, like my entire life, until I'm 90 or however old I'm going to be. I don't know. Let's just think about this year. So we're in April, and that means that we have 8-ish months left, 7.5 in 2017. So that means you have 7.5 months to think about what it is that you really, really want for yourself this year, in the next 7.5 months. I want to show you this exercise that we just took our clients through in a graduate program that we have called HMBA Grad. And it's called My Big 5 Vision. And this is a way that we it's an exercise that we walk our clients through to help start deliberately creating the life that you want. So I'll leave it up here if you want to take a screenshot of what it is that we do. But you'll notice right in this session, like we talk about, well, what do you want in health? What do you want in money, love, etc. But at the end of the visioning session, we look at what are the top 3 outcomes. In other words, if nothing else happened this year, what are the 3 things that really, really mean the most to you? What matters the most? And the reason, this is actually our first tip about creating a dreamy lifestyle and having it all, more money, better relationships, etc. The first tip is understanding what does that mean for you, because it's going to be different for you than for me. It's going to be different for me than for someone else. It's going to be variable. So you want to be able to define that for yourself. What is most meaningful to me in the next 7.5 months? And again, we can do everything, but not all at once. So what are the top 3 things that I want? The top 3 things. So I'll give you an example. My 3 things are, first of all, my health. That's the most important. I remember I had a grandmother who used to say all the time, and we made fun of her, as long as you have your health, you have everything. And we'd be like, ah, ha, ha, ha. Until she got a brain tumor and died. And then we weren't laughing anymore. We were like, oh, yeah, this is really important. Your health is really important. And particularly for me, after I had my baby, who is now almost 1.5 years, so 18 months, my life was before I had her, very organized. Everything was buttoned up. Everything was in perfect order. And then I had her, and it was like a bomb went off in my life. And I don't know if any of you who have had kids have had this experience where, oh my gosh, just everything is like getting myself out the door in the morning, having brushed my teeth. Like, forget having an outfit on or like makeup. That's not going to happen. I just want to be able to brush my teeth. So much went haywire. And one of the things that's been incredibly challenging for me, one of the things that went haywire was my body. There's just a whole other level of exhaustion and physical things going on that never happened prior to having her. So there's a sense of like, oh my God, I've got to fortify myself and rest like never before so I can move through this really hairy period of time, really challenging. So my health is number 1. Number 2, most important thing for me, and feel free to share yours. What's one of your most important things in your life for the next 7.5 months? To write that in the chat, that would be awesome. So the next thing for me is financial foundation. Isn't it interesting when you think about it that we spend our almost entire lives working for money? And like the fact that we need to have money drives our decisions, drives our life, drives our lifestyle. And I have this intense curiosity. What would it be like if money wasn't driving my decisions in some way? Like what would it be like if I really had financial freedom to have options, to choose how much I want to work or don't work, where work becomes optional and not required? And I'm so fascinated by this concept. And I know that in order to get there, I have to be paying attention to my finances in a particular way. And again, prior to Evie being born, very buttoned up on my finances and everything. All after her being born, it was like, what? There's mail? oh, shoot, my taxes are due. Oh God, I can barely get up in the morning. Like, just crazy. So there's a whole new level of attention I want to put on that for the remainder of the year. And then the third thing that's really important to me for the rest of this year is bringing my intuition into my work more deeply. And we're going to talk about that in a later tip. But one of the things that we want to know is that no matter what your religion, whatever you believe is greater than you is helping you every single day and every single moment. That you're never alone, we're never alone, and we're never working alone. And it's something that I can tend to forget. I can forget that I feel like I have to muscle through everything and I have to do it all and it's all on my shoulders and it all feels like 100 pounds of emotional weight. And then I remember, oh wait, there's like a whole other group that's helping me along every single day and giving me the inspiration that I need in work, at home, etc. So those are my 3 priorities for the year. And I'm curious, for you guys, I see some of you typing in yours. When you think about the next 7.5 months, what is the most important thing to you? And hello to everybody. Thank you for saying hello. I love seeing you here. What are those top 3 priorities? There's not going to be 10. There's going to be 3. Only 3. So type in and share what you think is one of your top 3 priorities for the year, because this is really important. The first tip that I want to share is that we have to clarify our why. Why are we doing what it is that we're doing? Sometimes we're in a situation in our lives that's just so painful and it sucks so badly that your why is just to get away from the pain. And that's okay too. If that's your why, great. But you want to be really, really clear about your why, because there will always be a million things coming at you in your life, and they will be challenging or getting in the way of those top priorities for you. So as all these different things come at you and you have the opportunity to say yes to things, to say no to things, you have something to ground you in. Wait, what is it that I'm doing this year? What is it that I'm creating? And if something that is coming my way as an opportunity is not fulfilling, it's not, for me, it wouldn't be building my intuition, it wouldn't be creating a financial foundation, or wouldn't be helping my health, I have to really think hard about saying yes to that. And that even includes some family engagements and some vacations or trips. That may include, stuff with my husband that we'd like to go do, but you have to become, in a word, disciplined about your 3 things that matter. And the word discipline is not particularly interesting unless you consider it in this way. I learned this from my co-founder and co-teacher, Stacy Morgenstern, that the root word of discipline is disciple. And that you can think about discipline as becoming a disciple of these priorities in your life, the things that are most important to you. And that everything you're doing is to forward those priorities. So in that way, you are committing at a whole new level to those priorities. And so discipline doesn't feel like a punishment. It feels like an opportunity. Like, ooh, I get to look at everything I'm doing and I get to choose which pieces are going to help me get to the 3 things that are the most important for me. Thank you so much for sharing. I love these. My health, love what I'm doing, becoming financially free, yes. Healthy body, yes. Better than ever body, getting in tune with my body, right? Giving back to my community, building my client base. Casey's saying financial foundation, learning and creating to grow, and finishing my book. Awesome. Okay, so this is the first tip. Getting clear, clarifying your why, getting clear on the 3 things that are most important to you. Second tip is your calendar, and to start to look at your calendar as an ally, as a friend, for helping you get where you want to go. You know, some of you, and for me for many years, I was like, calendar, I'm creative. I don't want to plan things. That seems boring. But then what I realized over the years is that structure in your calendar is what gives you freedom in your life. So structure in your calendar is what gives you freedom in your life. And for those of you who ever have played a sport or played an instrument, you know that you learn the form of your sport. Like in tennis, you learn the technique of a forehand, or in piano, you learn scales and music theory. Or if you were ever an artist or a performer, if you're doing Shakespeare, you learn the iambic pentameter of the line, so that you can, once you've learned the structure, you can release all the structure and feel free. That's what your calendar is for. And there was a great analogy that I heard from my husband, who is a financial advisor, and in his training for his job, they have ongoing trainings, and one of his trainers said to him, imagine you have a glass sort of vase, big vase, and you want to take the most important things in your life, in other words, these 3 things that you are sharing with yourself and us today, and you want to put those in the vase first, and they're going to be rocks. So you're going to put rocks in the vase, because rocks are going to take up most of the space in the vase. Once the rocks are in, then you can pour in other stuff if you want, and that other stuff is like sand, and the sand kind of goes in and around the rocks. But you always want to make sure that you have the rocks in first, because they're the most important things. So here's a simple example. If health is a priority for you in the next 7.5 months, and let's say you want to be more physically active, or you want to get to the point where you have a stronger body, I joke with my trainer. I train with a trainer, and I do Pilates. And I joke with both my Pilates teacher and my trainer that I am in rehab, like physical rehabilitation after having the baby. My pelvis is all messed up. Everything's crazy. So it is incredibly important that those appointments with those people, those trainers and teachers, are sacred to me. So in they go into my calendar Tuesday through Friday morning, and they're first. Well, first in the workday. First is my daughter and my husband. But then when I go to work, the first thing I'm doing as part of my job, because part of my job is to take care of myself, is training or doing Pilates. So I'm rehabilitating all of the musculature in my poor pelvis. Okay, so if workouts are important to you, then you put those into your calendar and they go first. Another example would be if cooking is important to you, then time for cooking goes into your calendar and it is first. You take your top priorities, you make them first. Another thing that's important for me, the financial foundation. I don't necessarily have to work on it every single day, but I do keep a list of financial to-dos, and I have a standing appointment with my bookkeeper, so that's happening once a month, and then I have a standing appointment with myself to address the financial to-dos. So that might be once a week, like Friday at 3 o'clock, and it's just repeating. And at Friday at 3 o'clock, it comes up on my calendar, and I go, oh, I have to look at my financial to-do list. And I don't want to do it necessarily every time, but then I go, no, this is the thing that's important to me. If I want to have the experience of financial freedom, this is what I need to do. And that's where the discipline piece comes in. Another thing that you might schedule is time with your spouse, time with your kids. You know, if you're a working parent, time with your kids is sort of at a premium, which is in some ways great because, oh my God, they're exhausting. But in some ways difficult because you feel like you're missing things, or, you know, your kid is spending more time with your nanny than with you, and there's mind stuff around that. So you want to make sure that you are taking the time with your kids that are sacred to you and they're blocked out. So mornings, with my daughter when I can wake up. And my husband's the first one up with her at 6:30. But mornings with her, and then my husband and I schedule alternating evenings. So if he has to work late, he's working late on a Monday and Wednesday. If I have to work late, I'm working late on a Tuesday and Thursday. So that means I know that on Monday and Wednesday evening, I'm going home and I'm hanging with my daughter, and we're going to take her little tricycle out for a ride or go to the park, and I'm going to get to do the whole bedtime routine and give her a bath and snuggle up. And then I know on weekends, it's Evie time. That's what we're doing all weekend long. And we schedule our lives around that, so that rock is in the vase first. It is incredibly important if you're coaching or wanting to coach for a living. You must, and I can't tell you this enough, you must block schedule your coaching sessions, meaning you want to make sure that your coaching sessions are on the same days and same times every single week. One of the things that you'll find real challenging if you're first starting out as a coach, or even if you've been coaching for a couple of years, if you've got a coaching session, 2 coaching sessions on Monday afternoon, and then one on Wednesday, and then one on Friday morning, and then one on Saturday afternoon, and then one on Sunday or something like that, you're going to feel like you never have a break from coaching. And even if you love it, believe me, it's a job still. You still have to get it up. You still got to be ready to go. It takes work. So you want to make sure that you keep your coaching times the same every single week. Maybe it's Monday from 12 to 5 and Tuesday from 9 to 2. And those are the times you coach. The way we train you in Become a Health Coach and in our graduate programs is you create an online calendar. And in that online calendar, you block off the times that a client can schedule with you. So when the client clicks on the link to your online calendar, all they see is Monday from 12 to 5. Or all they see is Tuesday from 9 to 2. They don't get any other options. That's it. And you really want to try very hard not to make exceptions to that rule, because then when you're in a given week and Monday and Tuesday are over, you're like, coaching is done. What? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, if I'm working, then I know I'm working on marketing. I'm working on attracting more clients or creating a group or creating a product online. It's incredibly important. There is nothing, I can't say it enough, for those of you who have done coaching without block scheduling and then who have done coaching with it, you know the difference. You know the difference. And I see some of you are agreeing with that. A couple other things that you can think about for your life, and what's going to work for your calendar is going to be different for everybody. Some people might benefit from waking up earlier, maybe an hour earlier a day, so you have one more hour to get things done. Some of you might benefit from going to bed earlier. I think one of the secret productivity sort of tools that are out there is sleep. We'll talk about that in a moment. That's another tip. You may want to take a look at, if you have kids, what happens after the kids go to bed. Is it time for you to be off, like you need to be done? Is it time for you to go back to work? My daughter's going to start a preschool daycare in November, and she'll go from 8:30 to 4:30. So I'm going to try to adjust my schedule so I can pick her up, so I can play with her. She goes down at 7, and then I might work again for another hour or 2 in the evening. So I have that time with her, and then if I need to work in the evening. Right now, however, when she goes down, I am out. Because I don't have the energy. So the evenings for me are for turning off completely, so that I can reboot for the next day. So for you, you want to look at those pieces as well. Okay, so the first tip was clarifying your why. The second tip was being a disciple of your calendar. And then the third tip is, it takes a village. Like, whether you have a kid or you don't have a kid, when you're building a business and you're having relationships and you're having a great financial life, these are things you're not doing all alone. You're probably getting some kind of financial help, whether it's from a CPA or a bookkeeper. You might be working with a coach on relationships. Maybe you're working with a coach on your health. You might need help at home. This is something that, especially when I was single, I really had a hard time justifying. So here I was at the time, let's see, it was maybe before I had, so 4 or 5 years ago. And I had a 7-figure coaching business, and I refused to get an assistant. I just said, no, I don't need an assistant at home, a personal assistant. No, what do I need? I live in a 1-bedroom apartment. It's just me. No way. And my coach at the time challenged me. She said, I want you to track every single thing that you do in a given week, every errand, everything. I want you to write it down. And I want you to see how many hours you're really spending on things like grocery shopping, laundry, dry cleaning, errands, bank, drugstore, returning stuff, whatever it is. And it turned out that I was spending about 5 to 6 hours a week on that stuff, which is like now, like 5 to 6 hours, wouldn't that be amazing? Now it's like, oh, there's a lot more. So, but at the time it was 5 to 6 hours. Now, I also charged at the time for someone to private coach with me per hour would have been thousands of dollars. I mean, I didn't even offer it, honestly. So I took, 5 hours times thousands of dollars per hour. Why is it that I'm doing a $20 an hour job or a $15 an hour job? So you want to take a look around your life and see where can you get help. This is another important thing where, for those of you who are recovering control freaks like myself, recovering type A people, it's like very hard to delegate things. It's like you're gonna, like, I joke with Stacy that sometimes there are things that, like, somebody who's helping me is gonna have to wrench out of my cold, dead hands. Like, I just won't let it go because I feel like, no, I want things done a certain way and it's my way. So there are some ways in which we have to let go a little bit, which is not the favorite news for a type A control freak type person, but that's the truth. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Like, maybe you have groceries delivered, and maybe if there's a delivery service in your area instead of going to the store, and that's going to save you a ton of time. Maybe you have a neighbor's kid who's in high school or in college run some errands for you, or maybe you have a neighborhood friend's kid or even a neighborhood friend. Maybe they run errands and pick up your kids from school, or maybe for your business you have an intern. There are ways to have very inexpensive help. I remember when I first hired an assistant for my business because there were technical things that I couldn't figure out. I hired a virtual assistant for 5 hours a month, and I remember that person was $35 an hour, which I almost had a heart attack over. But then I realized, wait a minute, this person is helping me make a product online, and I'm going to earn back that $35 and much, much more. So when you think about if you are paying for help, you want to think about, well, in the hours that I'm saving by not having to do X, how am I driving revenue or income, or how am I taking care of myself so that I'm available to create revenue and income? So it takes a village. That's tip number 3. So these are sort of, when you clarify your why, when you really take a good hard look at your calendar and you commit to planning, and you realize it takes a village and you can do it all, but you absolutely cannot do it alone. Those are sort of overall steps to help you get to a place where you have more money, where you have better relationships, where you have a dreamy lifestyle, you're doing what it is that you want to do. But then there's some things daily that may help you. And I don't want to sit here and be like, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, because you're probably already thinking that. So I just want to highlight some things that may help you day to day be able to focus on the things that are most important to you. So one tip is actually the night before. When you have a moment the night before, whether it's after your kids go to bed or before they go to bed, maybe your kids can help you with this, where you take a look at the calendar for the next day and go, all right, what is it that I need to prepare for? Do I need to pack a bag? Do I need to pack a lunch? Do I need something for me to bring to my office? What is it? Can I have everything for the morning put together by the evening so that I'm not scrambling in the morning? That's incredibly important. So the other thing that you can think about when you're looking at your calendar for the next day, if there's nothing you have to like put together or pack, you can still think about, all right, there are a million things I could do tomorrow, but what's the most important thing? Or what are the two most important things? What are the things that are going to help me get to my goals tomorrow? And making sure that you are addressing those first in the morning. So remember, I was saying I put my workouts first because it's so easy as the day wears on and I get more and more tired. It's easy for me to be like, I don't need to work out today. Nope, has to be first because I do have to work out today. So making sure that the most important things are first the next day. The second thing that you want to do is make sure you sleep. I think sleep is one of the most unsung heroes when it comes to creating the life you want and creating productivity. I remember reading an article in Forbes or like Fast Company or something like that where they were profiling, 15 people who were very high profile kind of people and saying, what are your productivity tips? And I remember reading almost every single one was like, well, I go to bed at midnight and I wake up at 4:30. And I was like, no, that's not going to work. I need like 8 or 9 hours of sleep a night. So you want to really know yourself and check in with yourself and say, hey, if I need 7, 8, 9, whatever, how many hours of sleep you need a night, get it, protect it, make it a priority. Don't force yourself to undersleep to try to be overproductive because that's like taking money out of a bank account that has no money. Like eventually your body's going to say, no, this isn't going to work out. So make sure that you are sleeping the amount that you need to sleep. Of course, if you have young children or a young baby, I realize that is nearly impossible. But if you can have a friend, a family member, a colleague, a night nurse, a night nanny, a babysitter who stays overnight, if you can have somebody at least give you one night of uninterrupted sleep, sleep will change your life and change your experience of life. The second tip that I have for you in the morning to really boost your health is simple, and it's to drink lemon water. Help your liver. Your liver is responsible for so much in your body, and we really want to give it whatever we can to help out. And lemon water is simple. You may not be able to make, an organic salad from your own garden with the greens that you picked, but you can squeeze lemon into some water, and there you go. So that's another thing you can do in the morning. A fourth tip for a day is, I don't know about you, but when I lived alone, my house was in perfect order. Perfect. I remember Stacy coming to my house and it was almost creepy, like nobody lived there. I remember thinking that at times, but I liked it that way. I liked it. Now I have my husband, I have my child, we have a nanny, we have people coming in and out of our house all the time, and it's just kind of chaotic. It's chaotic in my house. It's not what I would want it to be, and also it's what it is right now. So for you, what's the one place in your house in the morning that you feel like, I just really need this one place to be in order, so that when I leave and come back, if you do leave and come back in your house, I can see this thing and it will make me go, that feels really good. So for some of you, it might be making your bed. For some of you, it might be making sure your bathroom is clean. For some of you, I can't stand a cluttered refrigerator. So when you open the refrigerator, maybe that's for you. I'm going, I just want to look at so what's like one place in your house? You don't have to have the whole house in perfect order. Just what's that one place that makes a difference for you? The fifth tip that I think is really useful for the daytime is to find some way to meditate. And meditating is not closing your eyes and sitting in the lotus position with your fingers and having incense going. But meditating happens in a million different ways. When someone tells me to quiet my mind and sit, I flip. That is the last thing I want to do. So what I have to do is actually so much in my head. I've got to write, and I've got to brain dump, and then I end up getting messages from that which is greater and people who are talking to me on the other side, helping me out through my day. So you may take a walk, you may do yoga, you may do anything where you get a chance to tune into something other than the external world. And you get to tune into that which is greater. Maybe you're somebody who really is connected to the Bible. You might take the Bible and just like flip through and see what passage opens for you today. What is it that you're meant to hear and see and remember for the day? And maybe sit with that or write about that passage. It might be music for you. It might be taking a walk outside, but setting the intention that for even if it's 5 minutes of saying, whatever that which is greater for you, I'm connecting to you today. What is it I need to know for my highest good? Help me move through the day. With work, I think that this is the main thing that has helped me sort of survive this time of being pregnant and having the baby, and also having my career simultaneously explode, and having the demands and the pressure on me that I didn't feel physically or emotionally equipped for. So I had to literally give it over to God and say, okay, I have a Facebook Live today, or I have something that I'm creating today, or I'm working on creating HTC I Live. What is it that I can share? What is the best thing that I can bring to the table? And remember, I'm not the one who has to do all the work. Neither are you. You've got an army of people, energies, beings, God, Jesus, Buddha, whatever it is you believe in on the other side, helping you with everything. And it's such a joy and a relief to tune into that and know you're not alone and you don't have to do it all by yourself. And guess what? The best ideas for your business come from that. Information about what's going on with your kids, or what might be going on with your spouse, or what might be happening with friends or family can come from that. It's almost like I call it an unfair advantage, because it is a spring of information that never runs dry and never gets tired. So that is a phenomenal, I'm not the first person you've heard that from, to meditate in a day, but I will tell you that the reason why it's useful for you to create the life that you want is that you're not the only one creating it. That's why it's important. Okay. Another thing that can be helpful to do in a day to move toward the life that you want, more money, better relationships, a dreamy lifestyle, is to look at your calendar and cancel something. Cancel something. Anything, something that is not serving or fulfilling your top 3 goals for the year. There's something on your calendar, there's something that you've said yes to, there's something that you've committed to that you probably don't want to do but feel like you have to. I think what's interesting about that is, one, there's a comedian named John Mulaney. I don't know if any of you are interested in stand-up comedy, but if you are, he's hilarious. And he has a joke about saying that there's like no greater high than canceling something you're supposed to do and playing hooky from it. It's like such a relief, like, oh, I get to not do that. So there's that fun sort of part of it, of canceling something. But the other part of it is going like, okay, looking at the ways in which you are making other people and what other people want more important than you and what you want. And this is a really key tip for those of us who are people pleasers or recovering people pleasers. That when we're saying yes to things in our calendar that we really don't want to do, it's because underlying what we're saying is what you want is more important than what I want, or what's right for you is more valuable than what's right for me. That's not okay. And when that's your underlying driving force, it's really hard to build the life that you want, because you're making other people's priorities more important than your own priorities. So another tip is to cancel something. And my final tip is to have accountability and support on speed dial. Every day, and this may seem excessive, but I want to encourage you, especially because we have so much responsibility and so much coming at us, that we need support and we need accountability. So whether you have a coach on speed dial or on Skype, and we, in one of our past training programs, Stacy and I called it doing a Skype drive-by, like ring, 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 hello, or you're an instant messenger or some kind of chat function where you have a colleague that you can reach out to and say, oh my God, I'm struggling today. Or, oh my gosh, I'm supposed to go do XYZ, but I don't want to go do XYZ. What do you think? Should I go do XYZ or not? Just to be able to reach out to a friend, a colleague, a coach is incredibly valuable. Incredibly so, especially because as you're building your coaching career and you're sitting at home alone in your office, it can be so isolating. You'd be like, oh, I may be the boss lady, but I feel very alone. And I lose perspective about what it is that I really, really want to be doing right now. And you know, if you don't have people like that in your life, then a perfect place to meet some is at HCI Live. Certainly you can attend any sort of coach training event or networking event. I mention HCI Live because of course it's my event. And I think it's awesome. And I think what you'll find, what I feel like is unique about the community that Stacy and I have sort of curated is that it's a group of people who understand how to support you, which is like, yeah, you're doing awesome, and also how to stretch you, which is like, that was good, and I think you can do better. And what's interesting about that is that sometimes we have so much support in our lives, like, yeah, you're doing great, that we don't push ourselves enough. We're missing the stretch. Having too much support in your life is actually kind of dangerous. You need people who are going to stretch you forward. You need someone to say, there was Stacy once told a joke about Michael Phelps, who, you know, won all those gold medals and then went back and won more gold medals. And did his coach say to him, oh, you won enough gold medals the first time. You did great, you're done. No, it was like, there's more. Let's pull more out of you. And what I think is fascinating about our community, and when you step into the environment at HCI Live, which is in Miami, it's coming up May 18th through the 20th, is that here you have hundreds of people who are looking at you, seeing the best version of you, and drawing it forward, and not accepting less from you, really. That when you're deciding that you suck, or where you're being hard on yourself, or you're saying, I'm never going to get there, I'm never going to build the life that I want, it won't happen for me, I'm doomed, then you'll have people around you who are saying, that's actually not true. You can feel that way for another minute or two more, and then we're going to go forward. And you have people stretching you into what you can accomplish. And the truth is, you can do this. You can create the life that you want. You can have more money. You can have better relationships. You can have the dreamy lifestyle that you want. You can. And there are so many voices in your head that may or may not be yours telling you can't, that you have to counter that with a community of people who are telling you, no, you can, it's possible. And that's why attending a live event or being in a training is so important as a coach. You really cannot be without it. If you look at the most successful coaches around you, whether they're online or they're not online and they're just coaching in the world, they have support. They have community, they have colleagues, they have mentors, they have teachers. They are not doing it alone. And you shouldn't try that. I did for my first 2 years after I graduated from my first coach certification. For 2 years, I thought, I should be able to figure everything out. I don't need any more help. I don't know. Well, I struggled for 2 years because I didn't know what I was doing. And I finally had to admit it was either I'm going to figure out the business of coaching and I'm going to figure out how to coach and I'm going to figure out how this all works, or I'm going to have to get a job. And that was not an option. I was not interested in that as an option. So I strongly encourage you to consider becoming part of a training, going to a live event. If HCI Live is your cup of tea, which if you go to, I think there's a link, hcilive.com/social, where you can go and see information about the event, about the vibe. What you can expect really is more of this. More of me being a real person and Stacy being a real person and you being there. We just get to talk back and forth to each other instead of like chat. Now we get to talk live. It's really nice. And of course, we'll be teaching how to create and fill high-end coaching programs. What are the how-tos that are required? What are the coaching skills that are required? Where do you find clients who will pay for that? How is it that some coaches are out there making more money as a coach because they're charging $3,000 and $5,000 and $10,000 for their coaching programs? What? I remember the first time I heard that a coach was charging $5,000 for a coaching program, and it was like somebody had literally punched me in the face. I was like, what? That just didn't exist in the world that I came from. So it's important to be in a space where not only you're going to learn how to do it, but to see that people are doing it. It is happening, and it can happen for you as well. So you can go to hcilive.com/social to sign up for the live event. And there's something even more cool that I'll tell you about, which is something we call a Spark Pass. Last week we talked about introverts, and I was saying that, as an introvert, I sort of hate going to live events. It's really hard to get me there. But what can help is I usually get some sort of VIP type of access, which is what our Spark Pass is, where I get early access to the event, I get early registration, I can go into the room first and pick my seats. Lunch is taken care of for me, so I'll have lunch all 3 days with a smaller group of people, and it's super inexpensive. The Spark Pass is only $197. It's like very easy. I have I've invested anywhere from $500 to like $5,000 in VIP tickets to events. So we wanted to make ours just an easy yes to make the event experience amazing. And if you go to hcilive.com/social, you'll see all the information for the Spark Pass there. But here's the thing. If you register for the event before April 28th, you're actually entered into a raffle where you and a friend you and your friend would have to be registered for the event. So if you and your friend reserve your seat for the event, if you do that before April 28th, you can win 2 Spark Passes. So you get those for free, which would be free lunches each day. One of those days is with Stacy and I. It would be early access to the event. The whole entire Spark Pass experience you would get for free. And if you're watching and if you're someone who's already gotten a Spark Pass and you're like, wait, I want to be in that raffle. You will be in that raffle. If you've already paid, you'll just be refunded. So it'll be free. So that's the information that I wanted to share about the event, because it can really help with having people who can be supporting you and be stretching you and have them on speed dial. So quickly, we covered a bunch of tips today. We talked about overall creating the life that you want starts with clarifying your why, and then it moves to the practical calendar of putting your rocks in first into the vase and making sure the most important things are scheduled. Remembering that it takes a village to help, and that asking for help can be hard, receiving help can be hard, but it's a must. And that daily, the night before, the next day, trying to set yourself up for success for the next day. What are the things that I have to do in order to be prepared for tomorrow, so I'm not scrambling in the morning? Sleeping as much as you need to and not feeling badly about that. Sleep. The next thing was drinking lemon water in the morning. It's just an easy sort of like shot in the liver for your health. And then looking at the one place in your house that just has to be in order and making that place in order. Don't worry about the whole house, just that one place. The next tip was to meditate and remember that you're never working alone and that you can rely on your higher power to help you through everything in a day. The next tip was to cancel something that doesn't fit your priorities. Just cancel it. And then also to make sure that you have accountability or support on speed dial, whether that's on an instant messenger, a Skype, a chat, or whatever. so that you always have somebody available to support, and so you can give support and stretch. So those are our tips today, and really exciting news about next week. I'm going to have a special guest that I'm going to be interviewing, which is real exciting, and we're going to be starting 1 hour later. So normally we start at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 Pacific. Well, next week we're going to be starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific. So I will see you there for the next Tuesday tips, and I want to thank everybody for watching and for all your amazing comments. I can't wait to meet you in May in Miami, and I just want to say that I really have to acknowledge the journey that you're on and the courage that it takes to be on this path. Not everybody is on the path of becoming a coach and creating the life that they want. It's not always easy. Sometimes you come up against things that are challenging or difficult, and there are definitely times when you doubt yourself and you believe, I can't do it, or it won't work for me, or all that. But you're willing to do that. You're willing to walk through that fire and walk through those challenges and keep going, and that is what it takes. And what I know to be true about you is that you can do this. You absolutely can do this. And it's been an honor to be a part of your journey today. And I can't wait to see you next Tuesday.